Hey guys, it's Brit, and I'm at uni now. Yeah, I did wonder why the room around me had changed. I tried the whole uni thing last year, but it was in the middle of the flu outbreak, so it didn't really work out. So I thought, hey, why not go to a different uni when things calm down and try again? And here we are. Because being a full time uni student keeps you busy, animating isn't really something I can do right now. So, to try and keep the channel from dying, I decided to start a new series. See, as a uni student, one thing I have a lot of is money. But look at me, I fucking hate the stuff. I waste it all on junk food and pieces of plastic. So, what I've decided to do is I'm going to take everything that I have bought from uni and, let's be honest, will buy from uni, and I'm going to make a little series out of it, put them to good use, and actually review them for you guys, give my thoughts and opinions on them, and hopefully, this is just an easy series that I can keep going, and it will hopefully keep the channel alive. So, yeah, best get started as soon as possible because I think it's fair to say I have a lot of it. If you remember my look at the Fnaf AR chocolate animatronics, you may remember my excitement for a certain wave of figures. I may have mentioned it a few times. These guys are responsible for making some of the best. After the announcement of Funkoween and the new Fnaf VR figures coming in September, although not everyone would be as interested in these characters as, say, a Withered animatronics set or Curse of Dreadbear. Yeah, we're talking about them today. The Curse of Dreadbear figures are finally here and I couldn't be happier. As much as I loved the FNAF AR wave we got in April, I have to admit that since the FNAF 6 wave, the figures have started to go downhill a little. Not to say that they're completely bad, I mean even the FNAF 6 wave was great, it's just that they've made some very, well, strange choices for sure. Part reuse, weird character choices, and seriously, why did you release the security breach figures before we even got acquainted with the characters? I'll never understand. This Dreadbear wave is a true return to form for the FNAF figure line. Not to spoil my take too much, but the designs are more complex. There's very little part reuse in areas where it doesn't make sense, and this is the first bit of proof that Funko are willing to go back and make the characters from the older games that we never got before. That especially makes me hopeful for the future. Withered animatronic wave Funko, please make it happen. So, in the wave we have 4 figures: Dreadbear, Grim Foxy, Jack-O-Bonnie, and the lovely Glitch Trap. Oh yeah, and if you're in the US then you'll also have Captain Foxy. Nice figure and I'd like to have it, but I don't live in the US. We've established this. Hi, so this is Editing Brit here. Just to clarify that I have actually, since recording this first part, been able to find the Captain Foxy figure on the Pop in the Box Euro site, so I will be reviewing that when it eventually turns up. Before we get into the figures themselves, I don't usually like to talk about the packaging in these videos because I just love to open the figures as quickly as possible, but I love the Halloween aesthetic of these boxes. All FNAF boxes are the same basic shape and design, so I won't go too in depth, but the design on the package itself is really nice. You've got the pumpkins, gravestones, the wood panel texture on the back, and the figures fit in so well when put in front of them. Well, all except for Glitch Trap, who never actually appeared in Curse of Dreadbear. He's not a Halloween specific figure, so he's a little out of place, but I'm not going to complain. We wouldn't even have a Glitch Trap if it wasn't for this wave. But we'll get to him in a moment. Let's start with the figure that is probably the least exciting, Jack-O-Bonnie. I don't mean for that to be the kick in the endoskeleton it sounds like, but he is the only figure in this wave that's a straight up recolor, which is a good thing. So it is just the Nightmare Bonnie figure, meaning it has some great details such as the 3 segmented ears, all the various endo parts that show through the costume, and the chunk missing from the head. So what's actually changed? Well, he's missing his eyes now. They've been replaced with a flat bit of yellow plastic to simulate the glow coming from the inside, which works well. The only other change is the colour. The torso and the head have been moulded in a transparent orange plastic, while the arms and legs have been made in a completely opaque orange. I think it works, but I'm not sure why the torso and the head are transparent if the rest of the figure isn't. And if you compare it to the Jack-O-Chica that was released back in Wave 2, it looks really out of place. Overall, it's great to finally have this missing face from Fnaf 4, and it's great to put him next to Jack-O-Chica. I just would have preferred it if this figure was made more in line with how Jack-O-Chica was built. The next figure we have is Grim Foxy, a figure that surprised me. I was convinced that this figure would have just been a recolour of Nightmare Foxy with a few moulding differences. But no, as far as I can tell, the only parts that have been reused are the legs. The torso, head, arms, and even the hand are all new sculpts. They made a new hand for this figure when they didn't have to. That's dedication. This is also the biggest Foxy hook we've been given on a figure, and understandably is still not as big as it probably should be, but you've got to consider that he had to fit in the box, so I'll let it slide. He was made in the same way as Jack-O-Bonnie with the transparent and opaque oranges. However, the yellow in the eyes doesn't really work this time around. I don't know, maybe it's the shape or the fact that he only has one. It just looks so out of place. And the last thing I want to point out are the ears. They're both bare endo ears, and they have these gaps in between the bars, and I really like it. It's a good attention to detail. So yeah, Grim Foxy surprised me. A very well made figure. It's Dreadbear time! Technically the main figure of the pack, since it's literally named after him, but he's not my favourite. A very close second though. This figure is genuinely so well made, it makes me pray that one day we'll get the Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare we deserve. The figure has this really nice stitching effect sculpted all across the body, along with these bolts on the mouth and a seam running through the top of the head to simulate that hatch you put the brain into in the actual game. It all helps to make this figure feel like the Frankenstein monster it's supposed to be. One thing I love about Dreadbear, Glitchtrap and Grim Foxy is that all their figures have been posed in a much more interesting way than any other figure in the series. These guys are just so fun to pose, and it's not hard at all to make them look interesting. Dreadbear is a wonderful figure that proves that Funko can still bring their A game when it comes to the figures. With the tears in the torso, the stitching and all the little details, it's definitely the most ambitious and complex figure they've made since, Scrap Baby? Glitchtrap is all-knowing. Glitchtrap is all-powerful. Glitchtrap is us. Well, sorry, I'm not sure what that was all about, but it was pretty appropriate because we've made it to our final figure and my personal favourite, Glitchtrap. I have always wanted a Spring Bonnie figure, and to be quite honest, this is the closest we're likely to get. This guy is perfect. I'm amazed that no parts from Vanny were reused here, because that just wouldn't have worked. All the details are there. The purple vest and bow tie, his tail, the whiskers and the creepy smile on the head, and once again, the stitching to make the suit look more material than the more robotic characters. However, there are two problems I've noticed, and unfortunately, it seems to be with the colours. Oh, Funko, you guys in accurate colours just cannot find a time and place to meet, can you? Don't get me wrong, the yellow and the lighter yellow look pretty accurate, and unlike in the promo pictures, he's got this nice dirty wash over him that makes it stand out more. But why, oh why, have the stars on the vest been painted red and not white? It's such a small detail that I wouldn't have cared if they had chosen a colour that you could easily see. But look at this picture of Glitchy Boy and tell me, honestly, if you can spot them. When the pictures were first revealed, I was convinced that they hadn't even done the stars, which would have annoyed me a lot less because I don't get why they'd spend all the time making the stars look really good and then hide them. It's so frustrating. And problem number 2 is the eyes. Yet, still purple, but I would have maybe made them a little brighter. But that's it really. Questionable colours aside, this figure is amazing and I'll be displaying him proudly alongside my Springtrap and my custom Fredbear. Custom figure showcases coming soon. The articulation on all of these figures is pretty standard from what we've seen before. All the parts are on ball joints, meaning they can move every which way, with the only exception being the hands, which can only turn through 360 degrees. The only differences between figures is that Glitchtrap's head can't really move too much, it can only swivel through 360 degrees. Grim Foxy's hook can't turn, which is annoying because mine at least isn't sculpted in the way I'd like it to be. And Jack-O-Bonnie seems to be the only figure with waist articulation, which is kind of rare these days. Dreadbear and Grim Foxy look like they should be able to turn, but mine are so stiff I'm convinced they aren't meant to move at all. even though it wouldn't have been hard to do. So overall, come on, have I not made it clear how much I love these guys? Funko have officially made up for the security breach wave. Shame they haven't done that for the plushies yet, but I'll give them time. These figures are characters a lot of people have wanted. They're all new molds with barely any part reuse, and these were much easier for me to track down personally than any of the other SB figures. Despite some issues, I wholeheartedly recommend all of these figures.
And besides, who wouldn't want to add a homicidal, bloodthirsty virus bunny to their toy collection? Oh, and it's October, isn't it, boys and girls? I hope you're enjoying the month of frights, scares, and screams. Yeah, I'm happy with that.